Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. I think we all know why we're here. Manchester United releasing that statement last night on Mason Greenwood. We want to know your thoughts and opinions in on this one, so get involved in the chat and we will discuss some of your comments throughout the video. Any difference of opinions in the chat, just be mindful, be respectful to each other in the Webby and O'Neill community on each other's opinions. First thoughts on that statement last night?
Well, I'm glad I gave myself a day to look at it. There's a lot to take in. Club dealing with evidence not in the public domain. They say they're dealing with numerous people who are close to the case and also people knowledge to the case. So they're doing a thorough investigation, but what that does, as I see it, it gives you more questions to what is really going on. And to me, looking at it from face value, it looks like Mason Greenwood himself could possibly have been interviewed. His close family members, possibly solicitors close to the case. That's what I take from that, the main point. The other point is Man United saying, have patience. Well, the public doesn't have any patience, does it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the quicker they get this sorted, the better, especially after the statement they've made, and also with reports coming out from media.
Yeah, there was also an article from The Athletic, which was done just before Manchester United's release of their statement. So it was like Manchester United coming out, you know, to make it clear and clarify it from there. And now The Athletic did say that the decision by Richard Arnold was made a couple of weeks ago. Now, do you expect that decision to be, you know, to come out soon?
I think what that shows, there's a couple of things in that United statement coming out after the Athletic. It shows to me that the Athletic went to United with the story, with the information, what they received, and that they were going to publish, and that United were prepared with the statement. It looks to me, from the Athletic, what they're actually saying, that Richard Arnold was prepared to give a statement retaining Mason Greenwood. And I cannot see how anything really can change. United have come out with the statement. They've tried to ask for patience. But the thing is, they have not rebuked that Richard Arnold wasn't prepared to do a statement and release it on August the 4th. To me, it looks like the decision has already been made and that stakeholders in the club and around the club still need to be informed of what the decision has been. That's how clear I see it now.
Yeah, also in that as well, apparently they're waiting for the women's team to come back from the participation for England as well. So it could be done in the next week or so.
Yeah, it could be done in the next week or so. But when you mentioned the women's team there, a lot of this reporting, what's been going on since the incident, has been divisive and dangerous. And when you mentioned the women's team a couple of weeks ago, and that's why I say you can't react to everything, it was as though the reporters were coming out and saying United haven't made a decision. Because they need to speak to the women what are participating in the World Cup. Well, to me...
Well, to get their views and opinions on it.
To get their views and opinions on it. So whatever decision was made after they've come back, it would look as though it's the women what were paramount in the decision being made, which is very dangerous, but it's been cleared up now, as far as I can see. My take on the statements is that they're just waiting to inform them that a decision has been made and this is what has been made.
Yeah, it does say it in The Athletic. I'll read a little snippet out. It says, The Athletic has previously reported that United held meetings with Greenwood at the club's Carrington training ground during the first month of their investigation. The club's owners, the Glazer family, appear to have delegated the key responsibility for the decision to Richard Arnold, who is to be the public face of the decision, and inform members of his leadership team about the chosen path after returning from the club's tour of the United States in pre-season. So that's basically saying the decision has been made and they're just waiting to inform certain people around the club like you just mentioned.
Well, like I say, it's about trying to interpret and get to the truth of the statements what are out there. And it's clear that a decision has been made. I might be wrong, but that's how I interpret it, that Mason Greenwood will be retained by Manchester United. There is also other people that I believe they would have spoke to. They would have spoke to people in the employment law, human resources, everything else like that. So, big decision, I believe, has been made that Mason Greenwood is being retained.
Yeah, do you think Manchester United, after releasing that statement as well, will be maybe, feeling the waters, seeing what the fan reaction is to that statement they released? And do you think, if what they see out there is a fan backlash, so to speak, could they even change the decision if the decision at this time is to bring him back?
No,
Do you think they'll just keep to the decision, whatever it is right now?
I think they're quite clear on what's in the public domain, the court of opinion, shall we say. They know what's out there. They know it's very divisive. I think they're just going on the strict guidance to look after their employee law, everything else like that. So I think United are quite clear on what they have to do, what they have to do legally as well. And the court of opinion, they're not interested. Well, I say they're not interested. That's not part of their thinking. I think they've just looked at it. They've got the knowledge of people, direct knowledge we have no knowledge of what's gone on. Yeah. They've spoken to people in the case and around the case, and that is clearly part of their thinking of why this statement, why they've made it, and why it looks as though they're waiting to inform stakeholders, really, like the women and probably a few sponsors and things like that. Yeah. So to me, it's clear he will be back. How long? When it's released, I don't know.
Yeah. The Athletic did also report that they'd spoken to sponsors in association with Manchester United, and they weren't really giving much of an opinion on it, where they actually stand, whether they agree with him coming back or him being sold or released by Manchester United, etc. So do you think that also gives Manchester United momentum to bring him back also, because there's no backlash from sponsors financially?
Well, I think that's clear, that there's no backlash from sponsors. They must know something. We all don't know. Like I say, it's not in the public domain, certain things they know. Yeah. So they might have knowledge of certain things and are comfortable with it, whereas us, the public, don't know. Us football fans don't know the ins and outs of what really is the truth.
Yeah, I'm just going to dive into the chat. Danny Egan, I'd just like to say thank you for your super chat, my mate, much appreciated.
Cheers.
Steve Brooks says, it's already splitting the fans. As a football fan, would love to see him, but as a father, no way should he play for United again. He's looking at it from both sides.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah. Well, that is the big problem here. I mean, you've got two young people who live the life in the public domain on social media in a toxic relationship, and it will divide people with their opinions, and there's no way round it, to be honest with you, and all we can do is sit and wait and accept what comes from Man United. Very difficult situation. People agree with it, people don't agree with it. There's no winners here, and there's no actual you're right, I'm wrong. We all have opinions, and that's the court of a public opinion. That's what it's all about. We're here now. We're trying to discuss it and break it down, what United have said and what the reporters are saying. But to me, it's clear as day, that the reporters have gone to United and said, this is what we're coming out with. And that Richard Arnold has made a decision that Mason Greenwood is to be retained. It's clear as day to me.
Yeah, diving back into the chat. Vedo says, and we don't know the full story, it's just a voice recording. This could have been a setup. Maybe it wasn't even Mason Greenwood. I don't know about that, my mate.
Well, listen, you've got to be clear that what you're saying there, right, is just you making up nonsense, because that's clearly what that is, based on nothing. So we can do without all that. We try to discuss it with what the statements are, and what your fantasies about, like, oh, this could have happened, don't really matter to this conversation.
Do you think, obviously United have released a statement, we expect more statements on this, whether it's a written one or even a video recording from Richard Arnold that's been rumoured by The Athletic. Do you think there'll be something from Mason Greenwood, maybe his missus as well?
No, I don't think
they'll leave it to Manchester United?
No, this is all down to Manchester United. The player won't be coming out with a statement, or his missus. I think what United will be thinking and will be worrying about is this toxic relationship, because it clearly is has it sorted itself out? Well, hopefully it will sort itself out over time. All relationships need to build and rebuild constantly. So at the end of the day, the worry I see down the line is that this relationship could come out again, and that's where you'll get it all, and then it'll all just come firing back. That is the problem with a toxic relationship, two young people. But let's hope that that doesn't happen for United's sake and the couple's sake.
Yeah, and the babies and everyone surrounding him. Diving back into the chat, Danny Egan, he will never be the same player, unfortunately. Now, he's not played since, was it January 2022?
Yeah.
I don't expect him, even if he does come back, to play a game for Manchester United in this calendar year. You know, we've seen all the videos, photos of him training, doesn't even look anywhere near it.
Well, that's not training, is it?
Well, it's like me and you having a kickabout in the back garden, but, you know, that'd be coming up to 2 years, so, you know, what do you expect with all that?
Well, it's coming up to 2 years, probably by the time the decision has been made. I don't think anyone can recover from 2 years away from the game minimum. Even though he is a young lad, I think it'd be very difficult for him. I don't think he'll ever get to the heights like people like Gary Neville said. Excellent young player, excellent academy player, one of the best young kids he's ever seen. I don't think he'll ever reach them heights. I think it's going to be very difficult. I mean, at the end of the day, when you've got reports from the Athletic there saying that people inside the club feel shame on this situation, he will be walking into a very, very toxic work atmosphere where he won't know what their opinions are, and he'll be always thinking. I think he will not, me personally, I don't think he will be able to concentrate fully, and it will always be worrying and have doubts about people around him, about what they're thinking, and unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast, what's going on.
Yeah, going back into the chat, John Sim, Greenwood's partner needs to be interviewed as to why she released the footage. They both need to be interviewed, and I can see at the moment that argument, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure if it'd do him any good long term. I'd like to have a bit of a think about that one, to be honest with you, but I can see where it's coming from, and other people who have mentioned that. Acomo Holdings in the chat, people are deciding based on assumptions and hate. The club will be deciding on facts.
Yes, that's quite right. There's no need for the couple or anyone close to him to come out with anything. The club will come out, make a decision based on facts, and many, many, many of them facts you and I will not know about. So we have to trust what's going on with United. Yes, it's clear, right? They don't name people, but there's many people what know the facts. And to come out and suggest, the pictures might not be true or something like that, forget that. They know the facts and they're dealing with people. And that's what you have to accept when the decision's made. Even though we believe from what we're reading and we're surmising and taking it away from like the 2 reports that the decision has already been made, right? They know the facts and that's all you can go on. And that's what we have to leave it up to. And there is no need for anyone else to come out within the camp of Mason Greenwood to make any statements whatsoever, because United have gone through it all. I mean, you're talking months and months here of investigations, talking and everything, and law. So it'll be clear and it'll be done on the basis of there's the facts.
Do you think they'll share all the facts that they've seen?
No, there's no need. No need to share the facts. United will clearly tell you, and are telling you, that they're investigating it and they're dealing with all people relevant to what's gone on. They don't need to come out with that information, none whatsoever, and nor does any of the Greenwood camp. They have to move and build on and see what they can get going forward, whether it'll be a success or not. To be honest with you, it's in anyone's hands, that. Do you know what I mean? It's in God's hands, that.
Yeah. Going back into the chat, Rav D, don't you think keeping Greenwood gives Man United a bad image to the football world?
I think it does. You know, you can turn around. Many people are actually saying it doesn't do well to keep him, the image and everything like that, and it sticks with me, to be honest with you. I'm not happy with it, regardless of who's right and who's wrong. It's the image, and Man United's image has been damaged. But then, you know, we've had certain things what have damaged the image for Man United, and we'll have things what damages in the future. But there's nothing I can do about it. At the end of the day, United, they'll make the decision, and the decision Mason Greenwood will be retained, and you have to move on. It'll be a toxic environment, I've got to say that. Won't be nice. You know, football, you know, the football crowd itself is a different crowd to any other sport. At times they're unforgiving. So, you know...
Well, football fans are a different beast to fans who watch other sports. You know, we're a particular breed, aren't we? And Peter Sutcliffe in the chat, don't know about that name, to be honest with you, mate, but fans will be all over him once he starts bagging goals in. So, you know, do you think football fans are fickle once he starts scoring goals? If he does, you know, it'll all sort of be forgotten about?
I don't think it'll be forgotten about what's name it, but what it is, once your player's out there on the pitch, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to back him. So some people will move on. Some people won't. Court of opinion out there, you know, with the social media and everything, clearly states there'll be some people who will not let it go, who are unforgiving, and then there's also clearly some people who are forgiving and will give the benefit of the doubt and move on. But football fans, at times, and we're going to be in for it as football fans, the club's going to be in for it, but at the end of the day, Manchester United will make that decision based on facts. And at the end of the day, as people say, don't let facts get in the way of a good story, and this is a good story.
Match-going fans, what do you think match-going fans' reactions will be like? You know, especially, let's have it right, Mason Greenwood comes back. I'm not really one at my age to wear football shirts, to be honest with you, but, you know, you will probably see grown men with Greenwood, number 11 on the back. You know, do you expect any animosity towards people like that if they're wearing a shirt with Greenwood on?
Well, that's a possibility. That's a possibility that someone won't be able to keep their mouth shut and say, why are you wearing that shirt? Because that person has a different opinion than the person wearing the shirt. That's the problem going forward, that what's gone on with Mason Greenwood in that relationship, right, has brought out the toxicity amongst ordinary people, and they've been allowed, because of social media, to get their opinions out there and put on hate. Some are putting on love, some are putting on, like, you know, togetherness and all that. So that is the problem you will see. Someone walking around with a Mason Greenwood shirt at Old Trafford or an away game, it will provoke some people in some quarters, and at the end of the day, some people, and we commented before about someone with, like, he's got a daughter and he can see it in different ways. Well, at the end of the day, people will go into Old Trafford and will go into stadiums, right? And what they will do, some will shout and scream and adore him if he's scoring goals. Some will just stay silent with their own opinion, because they've got mixed opinions, and that is the problem with everything. With two people who have been in a toxic relationship and just splashed the news all over, it's just like proper toxic. Me personally, can't see it dying down for a long time, because the football crowd will always bring it up.
Do you think he'll be able to cope, though, going to away grounds, let's say, you know, Liverpool, for instance, Newcastle? Like we just discussed, we know what football fans are like. We're all a different breed, you know, the banter, etc. What gets said on the terraces. Do you think he'll be able to cope with that mentally on the football pitch?
No, I don't. I don't think he'll be able to cope mentally with what in his workplace, because I believe that the workplace is where the toxicity will come from, because he will be there unaware of what people, individuals, workers in there, players in there are actually really thinking. When you see a report in The Athletic turning around saying staff feels shame over it, well, that's saying a big thing. So he will be walking in not knowing who these staff members are. Now, them staff members could be people in the suits, could be people in the megastore, anywhere. Staff, training, coaches, anything. He won't know that, but I'm sure he's already aware that people will have negative thinking towards him, but he won't know that. So to me, he's walking into a viper's nest where he won't know, and his head will be thinking all the time. And I can't see how he can concentrate 100% on the job.
Yeah, just let us know out there as well. If Mason Greenwood does come back, he does wear the Manchester United shirt again, he does score goals, and you're at the ground there and he scores a 90th minute winner or even a first minute goal, would you cheer it? I'm not. If I was there in the stadium, I back my team, I back my players. Sometimes I don't even see who scores the actual goal as it's actually happening.
Yeah,
you just cheer it. It's the love of Manchester United, and you give it your all, even with your songs, your chanting. And some people out there have said, "Oh well, I just wouldn't celebrate." Well, I just can't see that. A human emotion wouldn't allow you not to celebrate, with my love for the club anyway.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. I think it's very difficult to break down what certain people would and wouldn't do. It's football. It's an emotional sport, and you're backing your team. And at the end of the day, if somebody is not happy and disagrees with everything about Mason Greenwood, me personally, I can't see it. If it was me, how I could go in the stadium and actually be there. So people will have to look at their own models and see if they could go in and cheer and support, because there is no point going in and booing and criticising, because that is the toxic nature of what this incident is all about. So your own morality says, well, hang on a minute, I'm paying money and I'm going in there and I don't like what's out there. Well, it's like anything. If it's on TV or wherever you go in the shop, if you don't like it, don't buy it, don't go in there. That's how I see it.
So do you think that could be the final straw for a lot of fans who go to the games, that if Mason Greenwood does come back, that's it for them, and they'll be watching the rest of the United matches on TV?
No, I don't think so. I think it'll only be a small minority of match-going fans what will actually stop going. And that's their choice, and I think you'll get a minority who will stand there and say nothing. They won't criticise, but they won't cheer, and that's fair enough. Yeah. And then you'll get people who are cheering because he's on the pitch and that's what you've got. You'll have a difference of opinions. Some will object by not going anymore because of the models and things like that, as they see it. And then you'll have people, the silent minority, and then you'll have a majority what will be cheering because the man's wearing the shirt and a goal's just been scored. It's the way of the world, and you have to have your own personal choice. Me, someone scores a goal, you're up in the air because you're there supporting the team and you want your team to win, regardless of who it is out on the pitch.
Do you think if it was, just some average player in the academy or the first team, do you think the decision would be the same as what they're making on Mason Greenwood? From our point of view, he will be coming back to Manchester United, reading between the lines of that statement. But if it was just an average player in that squad, do you think they'd make the same decision, or do you think they'd let him go?
I don't know. Well, I would hope that they would treat it in the same way and investigate and get all the facts as much as they could before they made any decision. I think the difference with, say, like if it was a younger player or not someone high profile, the media. I think it's the media and the public and the way the public are going on about it, because it's a high profile. So it will gather more news than someone who is lower down, say a youth player or someone who's on the verge or something like that. But I would hope that in the situation somebody else would be treated in the same way and given the same rules apply.
Because a lot of people out there say, the reason Manchester United will be keeping him is because he's an asset and he's £100 million rough assets. But I don't really see that. I don't think that's there anymore. I think you're just taking a big chance, a big gamble to see if he can get back to that levels. And some people out there may say class is permanent, etc. But with everything that goes around this situation, it's going to be a real tough ask to get him back to where he was, because let's have it right, it's potential as well.
Yeah, well, it's all potential. Potential can go down the drain. Will he still be £100 million asset? Is that what they're looking at? Maybe I think they might might not be looking at that. I think maybe this is continuing because of employment law. I think the people in the workplace have a duty of care towards him. And obviously with like the details, what they've got and the facts and everything, I think employment law, duty of care and everything like that is driving it more than what people are actually saying. That is £100 million asset. That's how I see it. And I think this statement clearly says that. That people who are stakeholders in everything and people with knowledge of the case and who have been involved in the case are giving their opinion and giving their facts. And I think it's driven more on that instead of like financial.
Yeah.
Because I personally don't think, and I think there'll be people in the game what will say he will never attain and get to where the expectations were, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I'm just going to dive back into the chat. Adi Moore, I don't see any way that Greenwood can play for United again. Great talent, but it's against human dignity comes into play. I always support my team no matter what, but this is a hard to swallow.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to swallow. It's hard to swallow for a lot of people. It's hard to swallow for me what's gone on. I don't agree with Mason Greenwood and his girlfriend in the way they live their life in the public domain on social media. I don't agree with that at all for anybody. I think it's very divisive. It doesn't help anybody the way they've lived their lives. But that's the way of the world. It will be divisive. Going forward, it's a big struggle in all departments. And I can't really see this really going away because different things will bring it up. And that's why I don't think Mason Greenwood will ever achieve what his potential was. I think the pressure, regardless if he's reinstated or let go, will ever get over this. I think it'll be too much. I'm only saying that based on my knowledge of life, and my knowledge of life goes on about over 60 years. I'm 65 soon. So I look at different situations right throughout life, pressure on different people and situations. So I can't see how this young couple can actually get away from it, and I don't think they'll ever succeed at football. I hope they move on. I hope they get over it. I hope everyone gets over it, but it won't go away, and I can't see him ever retaining. But that's my personal opinion based on my knowledge of life, on how people react to different situations and what they do in life and how it affects and how it affects them. And I think this is of their own making, and they've got a big mountain to climb.
Yeah, I was just thinking there, and I don't know the answer to this one currently. Let me know what you think. But if he does get reinstated back into the squad, do you think it'd be best for him to go out on loan for 6 months, a season, before he's actually playing for Manchester United again?
I think sending him out on loan, I did think about that, and I might have commented, I'm not sure that he best go out on loan and that, but looking more into it, I think going out on loan, you need to keep him close. He needs to stay close. He needs to work with people he can trust, not go out there to the vultures who will descend on him in their hundreds, the media, day in, day out, and fans and everything else like that. He needs to be slowly worked back together in the confines of the Man United camp. And to be honest with you, Man United overall have dealt with players, dealt with situations and kept it close and worked well. So they have got what you call a working relationship, what I've seen, where they do look after in-house very, very well. They don't get it all right, but it's better than sending someone out there into the mad world of where all the vultures are.
Yeah, it was also reported in The Athletic that Erik ten Hag and John Murtough are open for Mason Greenwood coming back into the squad. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, they've been discussed, haven't they? They're part of the stakeholders, and they will be part of like the information, what's come to them. A lot of the facts, they would have asked a lot of questions. They would have asked details. They would have been given details.
Sorry to interrupt as well. Do you think with Manchester United only signing one striker, do you think that's got any influence on the decision that's already been made on Greenwood? That they think, well, we don't need another striker because he's coming back into the fold?
No, not necessarily, because they will be aware of how someone might not get back up to the standards. I think when it comes to a striker, it's hit and miss. Will he ever be a striker?
Because he's way off it at the moment.
Because he's way off it, so you won't see that. I think that with United, it's buying strikers is all down to money. And at the end of the day, another striker might be bought in January. And I've got a funny feeling it might be Tony from Brentford, and sign him in the summer. Buy him, and then he comes, leaving with Brentford, and then he'll come in the summer. But hey, I'm digressing from the original.
Yeah, I'd have preferred to have Harry Kane, but let's see, still plenty of time in the transfer window.
Yeah.
Anything else to add before we go? Because I think we're going to wrap it up. Just like to thank everyone for getting involved as well.
I just, like you say, United ask for patience. That won't happen because the court of public opinion will go on and on and on. And that's the way it is. We've tried not to report and go on every time Mason Greenwood's name's not come up. And we give ourselves 24 hours to at least have a reasonable conversation with yourselves out there about this. And to be honest with you, I look at it all and the argument will never ever get settled. Because it's a divisive and dangerous subject, what's gone on, and the incidents, and, you know, who really knows, and will we ever know the truth? I never ever think we will.
I think we'll get a decision soon, though, so we'll wait for that one. I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us today, being respectful to each other as well. That is paramount in the community, so you all feel safe and
thank you
making a comment. So yeah, we'll be back later on with a match preview as well. Oh, nearly sent the computer over there.
Easy Tiger.
Son, easy. Yeah, we're back with a match preview of Manchester United versus Tottenham later on this afternoon. So if you are around, get that notification on, and we will see you later on. Just like to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you.
Many thanks.